Welcome to Social Aloe Ministries. My task and purpose is to glorify God and expose the devil. I've heard people use the acronym Basic Instructions before leaving Earth to describe the Bible. In a lot of ways, that is very accurate. Now, there's a thing called sola scriptura, and many people, they don't want to hear anything unless you can find it in the Bible. They don't want to hear anything unless you can directly tie it to a scripture in the Bible, almost like as say verbatim. But again, basic instructions before leaving the earth. In Hosea 4:6, the Lord said, "My people perish from a lack of knowledge." And yes, the Lord's people are perishing from a lack of knowledge. But there's hope. In Proverbs 11:9, it is written that through knowledge the just are delivered. This is not to encourage you to go seeking knowledge, and especially about the kingdom of darkness. Because let me see here. In 2 Corinthians 2, verse 11, it is written, "So that no advantage would be taken of us by Satan, for we are not ignorant of his schemes." So speaking about not being ignorant of the devil's schemes, so that he do not take advantage of you. So he does not take advantage of you. Which ties back to Hosea 4:6. My people perish from a lack of knowledge. Jesus also said that the kingdom of violence, or the kingdom of heaven, suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. The enemy's doing a lot of things to get an advantage of us. And a lot of Christians are oblivious to those things. In the book of John, it points to something that truly backs up about the Bible being basic instruction before leaving earth. Now, the Bible is enough. But in John 21, starting verse 24, states, "This is the disciple who is testifying to these things and wrote these things, and we know that his testimony is true. And there are also many other things which Jesus did, which if they were written in detail, I suppose that even the world itself would not contain the books that would be written." And I should just notice this while reading. It said, if written in details. There are things in the Bible that are not written in details. For example, about being ignorant of the devil's devices. We see some of the devil's devices in Job chapters 1 and 2. We see how the devil caused damage to Job and even afflicted him with sores all over his body. Wow, the devil did that? And this by no means to glorify the devil, because he's under Jesus' feet. All power and authority was given to Jesus. Jesus is the one with the keys to death and hell. So we're going to get that straight. But I will say some things about the devil. When you look at the four Gospels, they're actually testimonies, according to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Testimonies. And that's part of what I want to focus on. Testimonies. There are times when people share their testimonies and other people, they do not believe. And again, they want you to tie it to a scripture. When the Lord directed me to write The Process, The Refiner's Fire, one of the last thing I was inspired to do was on the cover at the top to write a testimony of enduring hell on earth. A testimony of enduring hell on earth. Many believers are enduring hell on earth, and they're actually clueless what is going on. And some may think it's just a matter of the Christian walk that they go through things like that. But actually, it's the devil taking advantage of them, and they're perishing because of lack of knowledge. So the four Gospels are testimonies of Jesus. Testimonies are very important. Let's take a look at Acts 18, starting verse 24, regarding Apollos, where it's written, "Now a Jew named Apollos, an Alexandrian by birth, an eloquent man who came to Ephesus, and he was mighty in the scriptures." Mighty in the scriptures. This man had been instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent in spirit, he was speaking and teaching accurately the things concerning Jesus, being acquainted only with the baptism of John. And he began to speak out boldly in the synagogue. But when Priscilla and Aquila heard him, they took him aside and explained to him the way of God more accurately. So Apollos was a learned man. He knew the scriptures and he was preaching. But Priscilla and Aquila had some more things to teach him, to make him even more well-rounded. So there are a lot of people who know the Bible, but things are still happening to them because they're ignorant of the devil's devices. And I'm not telling you to go seek information. Just as how Apollos was preaching and Priscilla and Aquila took him aside, the Lord will send people to you, one way or another, to help give you information. And sometimes he may give it to you himself regarding what the enemy is doing and how to counteract him. People are perishing because of lack of knowledge. Testimonies are important. For example, there's some people who they used to serve the devil. They have intimate knowledge of how his kingdom works, how he's destroying the lives of believers. And when those individuals testify, it helps to listen, especially if you are going through things, and when you hear their testimony, the Lord communicates something to you regarding what the enemy is doing and how to shut it down. Testimonies are so powerful. In Revelation 12, starting verse 7, it states, "And there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels waging war with the dragon. The dragon and his angels waged war, and they were not strong enough." And they're still not strong enough. "And there was no longer a place found for them in heaven, and the great dragon was thrown down, the serpent of old, who is called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. And he's still a deceiver. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, 'Now the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brethren has been thrown down, he who accuses them before our God day and night.'" The devil is the accuser of the brethren. In fact, where it speaks about the dragon and the serpent is the deceiver and the dragon is the accuser. So the enemy, he will seduce you into things. Sometimes he'll even drag you into things. And then he'll accuse you, try to condemn you, make you feel as if you're not worthy, for example, of the Lord's forgiveness. He will accuse you to God, And he'll also cause you to blame God for things that the devil did, which is a part of the reason why we shouldn't be ignorant of his devices. In Ephesians 6, Paul wrote that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, because sometimes the enemy will get you to point to other people instead of the devil that is operating behind them. And it continues, and they overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb and because of the word of their testimony. And they did not love their life even when faced with death. So nothing here we see, the word of their testimony. I am not saying that every testimony is true. And some testimonies are true, but in a sense they're unbelievable. But a lot of times they offer information, the revelation, to help you regarding your struggle. The enemy is very deceptive. There are things that he does. But quite frankly, for example, me, if the Lord had not allowed me to go through certain things, I'd have probably never known or even cared to know that the enemy was capable of those things. In the book of Revelation, it speaks about taking the mark of the beast, and that those who take the mark of the beast and worship his image, they'll be damned to the lake of fire. Their strategies the enemy has in place to seduce people to take the mark of the beast. In some cases, to deceive people to think they've taken the mark of the beast, or they've gone so far that they may as well just take the next step and take the mark of the beast. So it's important to not be ignorant of the devil's devices. There are times when he may try to convince you that you have gone too far and there's no redemption for you, when that is not the case. The Bible, it does not tell us everything about Jesus, and doesn't have a lot of information about the devil. We know he's the enemy, but it doesn't give a lot of information regarding how he operates. And I'm not saying that you should. This is not a critique of the Bible, but certainly, when someone has a testimony regarding how the enemy works, you may want to take heed, because the enemy may be doing the same things to you and getting away with it. But through knowledge, the just are delivered. I pray this blesses you. God bless you.